Lady Vera sat in her high balcony room, overlooking the vast city of Zephyra Prime. Her sharp eyes scanned the horizon, reflecting pride in her family's status and power. The alien society she belonged to thrived on intelligence, strength, and social dominance. Every action, every choice was measured and judged. And in her mind, nothing mattered more than appearances. Her daughter, Leora, walked quietly into the room, carrying a stack of documents. Leora's soft green eyes and gentle demeanor made her appear fragile, in a society where aggression and assertiveness were signs of respect. Vera's lips curved into a faint smile, but it was a smile of mockery. "You are late, Leora," Vera said, her voice carrying authority and a hint of disdain. Again, Leora bowed her head slightly. "I apologize, Mother. The reports from the council arrived late, and I was verifying them before bringing them to you." "Excuses," Vera replied, tapping her long fingers against the marble table. "You always have excuses. You know our family is expected to maintain excellence in every field, and yet..." She let the words hang heavy with meaning. "You continue to disappoint." Leora's cheeks flushed, but she did not speak. She had learned long ago that arguing with her mother only worsened the situation. Silence, she realized, was safer than words. Vera leaned forward, her gaze sharp like a blade. "I have arranged something for you." Leora tilted her head, uncertain. "Arranged, Mother?" "Yes, a marriage. You will marry a human." The words hit Leora like a sudden storm. Humans, species considered primitive and weak by alien standards, were rarely seen in the higher echelons of alien society. Most aliens avoided interaction with them, calling them fragile creatures with strange customs. Leora swallowed hard. "A human, Mother?" Vera's eyes sparkled with cruel amusement. "Yes, Ethan, he is ordinary, much like you. Perhaps this union will teach you humility." Leora felt a mix of shock and fear. She had expected many challenges in her life. Duties, expectations, perhaps even political rivalries. But marriage to a human, specifically chosen to mock her, was beyond anything she had imagined. Ethan, the human, was unaware of the plan. He was a young explorer and scientist, sent by the Human Exploration Council to observe alien cultures. His intelligence, adaptability, and curiosity had earned him this unique opportunity, but he had never expected to become part of alien aristocracy. Vera continued, ignoring her daughter's discomfort. "You will leave Zephyra Prime next month. The ceremony will be simple yet dignified. You will make your way to the human vessel and begin your new life. Remember, your failure will reflect poorly on me, on all of us." "I expect you to comply." Leora bowed her head. "I understand, Mother." Inside, her heart sank. She had always loved her mother, admired her strength and respected her wisdom. But the mockery and cruelty now were overwhelming. She wondered if her mother ever saw her as a capable individual, or if she would always be a disappointment. The day of the journey arrived. The alien city buzzed with activity, as massive ships rose into the skies and docked at the orbital platforms. Leora stood on the edge of her balcony, looking down at the bustling streets. She clutched her small bag tightly. Her thoughts were a storm of worry, curiosity, and determination. Ethan awaited her on the human vessel, a sleek ship docked on the edge of the city's orbital ring. It glimmered under the alien sun, simple but elegant in design, a stark contrast to the towering spires of Zephyra Prime. When Leora first laid eyes on Ethan, she was struck by his calm confidence. He was taller than most humans she had seen in alien archives, with dark hair, steady blue eyes, and a posture that spoke of quiet determination. He smiled politely, extending a hand. "Leora?" he asked, his accent foreign but warm. "Yes," she replied softly, shaking his hand. "I'm Ethan," he said. "It's an honor to meet you." Leora nodded, unsure what to say. She had imagined the meeting in her mind countless times, but reality was different. Humans were nothing like aliens, different in manner, in thought, and in culture. She felt nervous, but also a strange spark of hope. The journey into space was long. Leora and Ethan spent hours in quiet observation, watching stars streak by, planets gliding past, and distant suns glowing in the darkness. Slowly, conversation began to flow. Ethan asked about her home, her interests, and her life on Zephyra Prime. Leora answered cautiously, aware that alien norms required precision and honesty, but also careful wording. She shared stories of her childhood, her studies, and her favorite places in the city. "You seem very knowledgeable," Ethan said one evening as they watched a blue planet drift by, "and capable. Your mother, she must be proud of you." Leora hesitated. "She has high expectations. Sometimes they are difficult to meet." Ethan nodded, understanding. "I think expectations are hard for everyone. But sometimes being underestimated can help you discover strengths you didn't know you had." Leora looked at him, intrigued. Humans. He spoke with a confidence and hope that she rarely saw among aliens. Even if her mother meant to humiliate her, this human seemed different. Perhaps, she thought, this marriage could teach her something about herself. Days turned into weeks as they traveled through space. Leora adapted to life aboard the human ship, learning the technology, the customs, and the ways humans lived. She discovered that humans, though weaker in physical strength compared to many alien species, had incredible resourcefulness. They solved problems with ingenuity, thinking creatively in ways aliens rarely considered. Ethan noticed Leora's growing confidence. "You're adjusting well," he said one day. "You're learning quickly." Leora smiled faintly. "I must. My mother expects nothing less." "Your mother?" Ethan said carefully. "Does she care about your happiness?" Leora paused, considering. "She believes she does. But sometimes care feels like pressure, like judgment. I have never been allowed to fail, but I have also never been allowed to choose." Ethan nodded. "Maybe now you can choose. Together we can learn from each other." The human words planted a seed of courage in Leora's heart. For the first time, she felt the possibility that life could be more than duty and expectation. She began to see that perhaps her mother's attempts to mock her were not the end. They were only the beginning of her own journey. During the journey, they encountered a minor emergency. A meteor storm passed through their path. The alien ships of Zephyrus Prime would have relied on overwhelming power to escape, but Ethan suggested a precise maneuver, calculating angles and thrust carefully. Leora helped him, using her knowledge of alien physics and human engineering. The maneuver worked flawlessly, and they emerged from the storm unscathed. Leora felt a surge of pride. Here she was, working alongside a human, contributing her knowledge and making a difference. Perhaps strength wasn't always physical. It could be in courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Weeks later, they arrived at the human home station. Leora stepped onto the planet's surface, breathing the fresh, unfiltered air. The landscape was different from Zephyrus Prime. Open plains, flowing rivers, and skies filled with unfamiliar constellations. It was beautiful in a simple, unpretentious way. Ethan turned to her, smiling. "Welcome home, Leora." She looked around, feeling the weight of her mother's judgment lift slightly. Perhaps this was not humiliation. Perhaps this was an opportunity. She would prove herself not to Lady Vera, not to the alien elite, but to herself. And somewhere deep inside, she began to feel that the human she had once thought weak might teach her more about strength than anyone in her alien world ever could. Life on the human station was very different from Zephyrus Prime. Leora had expected discomfort and difficulty, but she did not expect the openness, the laughter, and the teamwork that defined human life. Humans worked together, shared ideas freely, and often solved problems without hierarchy. It was a culture that valued ingenuity and persistence over appearance and status. Ethan showed Leora the routines of the station. She observed engineers, pilots, and scientists moving about efficiently. Each human seemed ordinary at first glance, yet all of them accomplished incredible tasks with patience and creativity. Leora felt both awe and curiosity. "You will need to learn quickly," Ethan said one morning, handing her a tablet filled with schematics and project notes. "Humans value action, experimentation, and problem-solving. They may underestimate you at first, but results speak louder than words." Leora nodded, understanding. On Zephyrus Prime, she had always been judged on appearance and compliance. Here, success depended on ability and effort. The first weeks were challenging. Leora had to adapt to human customs. Meals, communication, even sleeping cycles were different. She sometimes felt awkward, missing her alien world's structured elegance. But Ethan remained patient, guiding her gently. "You are learning faster than I expected," he said one evening as they watched the twin moons rise. "I think you will do very well here." Leora smiled faintly. "It is easier to learn when no one expects perfection from me." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm. A research vessel nearby had been caught in a meteor storm, and it was sending a distress signal. The station's command immediately called for volunteers to assist. Leora felt a mix of fear and determination. This is my chance, she thought. Perhaps humans' way of thinking can show me something new. At the command center, humans worked quickly. Leora observed and absorbed their methods. Unlike aliens, humans did not rely on brute force or pre-programmed strategies. They analyzed data, discussed possibilities, and tested solutions in real time. Ethan and Leora worked together, combining human tactics with her knowledge of alien physics. She suggested a new angle for the ship's escape trajectory, which Ethan immediately tested in simulation. The numbers worked perfectly. "Leora, you just saved hundreds of lives," Ethan said, his voice filled with respect. Her heart raced. Humans valued action, yes, but they also valued contribution, courage, and intelligence. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen for what she could do, not for her family name or appearance. The rescue mission was tense. Meteor fragments moved unpredictably, and the distressed vessel's engines were failing. Leora and Ethan worked tirelessly, guiding the crew with calculated maneuvers. Slowly, piece by piece, the ship emerged from danger. When the final alert ended, the station erupted in applause. Humans were celebrating their success, but Leora felt a quiet pride. She had been underestimated, mocked even by her own mother, yet here she was making a real difference. In the following months, Leora adapted further. She learned human engineering methods, piloting techniques, and negotiation skills. Humans, though physically weaker than aliens, were extraordinarily adaptable. They solved problems creatively, finding solutions that aliens would never consider. Leora began to understand that strength was more than physical power or social dominance. It was courage, intelligence, and persistence. She also noticed subtle differences in human relationships. People supported one another without judgment or hierarchy. Mistakes were accepted as lessons rather than weaknesses. Leora realized that this culture allowed her to grow in ways Zephyra Prime never could. Ethan became not just a guide, but a partner. They debated strategies, exchanged ideas, and solved problems together. He never tried to dominate or belittle her. Instead, he trusted her abilities, encouraging her to contribute fully. Leora found herself speaking more confidently, thinking more creatively, and acting more decisively. One day, the station received news of an interstellar trade delegation visiting nearby systems. Alien species, including some from Zephyra Prime, would be present. Leora's heart tightened. She had not expected to see aliens here, and the thought of encountering her mother or her people made her uneasy. "Are you worried?" Ethan asked. Leora nodded. "I am not sure. They may not understand humans. They may judge me." Ethan placed a hand on hers. "Then let them. You have already proven your strength here. Your value is measured by what you do, not what they think." His words strengthened her resolve. Leora realized that fear of judgment had always held her back. Now she could act with confidence, using knowledge, skill, and courage rather than worrying about appearances. The delegation arrived. Aliens moved with grace and superiority, inspecting the station with scrutiny. Some noticed Leora immediately. She had grown. Her posture, her confidence, her intelligence were undeniable. Whispers began among the delegation. The human's wife was unlike any alien they had expected. One high-ranking alien approached Leora. "I have heard interesting things about you," he said. "A human spouse teaching an alien techniques? Fascinating." Leora smiled politely. "We all have strengths. Humans, aliens. We can learn from one another." The alien raised an eyebrow. "Indeed. Perhaps we have underestimated humans too long." The comment, small as it was, made Leora feel a quiet victory. Her life had begun as a mockery, a punishment devised by her mother. Yet here she was, respected, valued, and admired, even by those who once dismissed her species. Weeks later, a crisis struck the outer colonies. A research station had lost communication, and alien authorities requested human assistance. Ethan and Leora volunteered immediately, using their combined knowledge. They analyzed sensor data and realized the station was trapped in a gravitational anomaly near a small planet. Most aliens would have waited for reinforcements or relied on raw power to extract the station. Ethan and Leora devised a careful plan, a precise shuttle maneuver using gravitational slingshot techniques, combined with careful calculations of the planet's tidal forces. The operation was risky, yet Leora felt confident. Humans thrived on problem-solving under pressure. Their ingenuity, patience, and courage made the impossible possible. During the rescue, Leora directed critical calculations, while Ethan piloted the shuttle. Fragmented satellites and debris moved dangerously close, but their plan worked. The station was freed and the crew cheered. Humans. Remarkable, a visiting alien muttered. Perhaps more capable than we thought. Leora allowed herself a quiet smile. The world she had feared, the mother she had dreaded, and the society that had judged her, none of them could measure her worth here. That night, Leora and Ethan watched the stars from the station's observation deck. Silence wrapped around them, peaceful and comfortable. "You know," Ethan said softly, "I think your mother would be surprised if she saw you now." Leora laughed quietly. Surprised? She would probably be furious. She always mocked me for being ordinary now. Ordinary seemed stronger than she imagined. Ethan smiled. You've grown into yourself. And humans. Well, we may be underestimated, but we have ways to prove ourselves. Leora nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. She thought of Zephyr Prime, of Lady Vera, and of all the times she had been doubted. Here, far from judgment, she discovered that resilience, courage, and intelligence mattered more than appearances. She realized a simple truth. Humans were not weaker. They were adaptable, creative, and persistent. And now she was learning to be the same. As the twin moons rose over the horizon, Leora felt hope for the first time in her life. Perhaps, she thought, her mother's cruelty had not been the end, but the beginning. The beginning of her own journey, where humans' ingenuity and determination would shine, and where she herself could discover the strength she never knew she had. Years had passed since Leora and Ethan first left Zephyr Prime. Their names were known across several star systems. Humans, once dismissed as fragile and unremarkable, were now respected allies in diplomacy, exploration, and conflict resolution. Leora's skills, combined with Ethan's innovative strategies, had earned them admiration from multiple civilizations. Lady Vera, however, had remained on Zephyr Prime, ruling her household with pride, influence, and strict control. She had expected that her daughter would falter, that the humiliation of marrying a human would ensure Leora's life remained small and unremarkable. But reports kept reaching her, accounts of daring rescues, clever negotiations, and impossible missions accomplished. Each story chipped away at her pride. At first she dismissed them, claiming exaggeration. But as the evidence grew, and as other nobles whispered about Leora's accomplishments, she could no longer ignore the truth. Vera sat alone in her chambers one evening, staring at the holographic display of recent news. Leora's face smiled back at her from reports on interstellar missions. There were photographs of Leora directing operations, of her standing confidently among alien leaders, and of humans and aliens collaborating under her guidance. Regret crept into her mind, a feeling she had long avoided. She had mocked her daughter, ridiculed her choices, and deliberately placed her in a situation she believed would humiliate her. And yet Leora had grown stronger, wiser, and more respected than Vera had ever been. Meanwhile, on the human station, Leora and Ethan prepared for a diplomatic summit. The Interstellar Council had invited delegates from dozens of worlds, including Zephyr Prime, to discuss trade, security, and collaborative exploration projects. Leora adjusted her uniform, a subtle blend of human design and alien style. She reflected on how far she had come. From a shy, underestimated girl, she had become a leader, strategist, and diplomat. Humans had taught her resilience, adaptability, and courage. Aliens had given her knowledge, precision, and insight. Together, she was unstoppable. Ethan approached, offering a reassuring smile. "Are you ready?" "Yes," Leora replied. "And this time, I am ready not for fear or judgment, but to show what we can accomplish together." The summit began with formalities, but soon discussion turned to recent conflicts and challenges in nearby sectors. Delegates shared reports, strategies, and concerns. When Leora spoke, her words were confident, precise, and respectful. She proposed innovative solutions that combined human creativity with alien knowledge. Many delegates were impressed. Aliens who had once dismissed humans as weak now listened carefully, considering every suggestion. Leora noticed subtle shifts in their expressions: curiosity, respect, even admiration. During a break, a group of Zephyr Prime nobles approached the human delegation. Vera stood among them, her expression carefully neutral, though her eyes betrayed tension. She observed Leora from a distance. The girl she had once scorned was now a respected leader, commanding attention and admiration from alien civilizations. Vera's heart twisted. She remembered the day she had mocked Leora, arranged her marriage to a human and expected humiliation to follow. Instead, Leora had thrived, gaining recognition that Vera herself could only dream of. The thought was unbearable. One of the nobles whispered, "Your daughter. She is remarkable. And the human she married, he is no longer weak. They are a powerful team." Vera's lips tightened. She nodded silently, unable to speak. She had underestimated both her daughter and the human, and now the consequences of her arrogance were clear. Meanwhile, Leora and Ethan were approached by delegates from several alien civilizations. They discussed collaborative projects, shared research, and planned future missions. Leora's calm confidence and clear communication made her a natural leader. One delegate said quietly, "I had doubts about humans, but now I see that they are capable, courageous, and intelligent. Your leadership, Leora, proves that we underestimated them." Leora smiled politely. "Humans have strengths that may be different from what you expect, and sometimes combining different strengths can create even greater results." Ethan nodded in agreement. "We have learned from each other. That is the true power. Collaboration." The statement was simple, but it resonated throughout the council. Humans were no longer second-class allies. Their skills, ingenuity, and courage were recognized across multiple civilizations. Later that evening, Vera could no longer contain herself. She requested a private audience with Leora. The request alone sent whispers through the council. Nobles rarely sought meetings with those they had once dismissed. Leora entered the chamber, composed and polite. She bowed slightly. "Mother," she said. Vera looked at her daughter, eyes softened with a mix of regret and admiration. "Leora, I underestimated you. I thought marrying a human would limit your potential, perhaps even humiliate you. But you have surpassed everything I imagined." Leora's face remained calm. She had expected this confrontation, but she did not need approval or praise from her mother. "Thank you, Mother. I have learned much since leaving Zephyra Prime. I have discovered strengths I did not know I had, and I have learned that humans, like anyone, have abilities that may surprise you." Vera's throat tightened. She realized that her past actions, the mockery, the judgment, had not broken Leora. Instead, they had helped her find resilience and determination. Leora had grown into someone strong, wise, and independent. I am proud of you," Vera said softly, voice almost a whisper. "I regret the way I treated you. I should have supported you instead of mocking you." Leora inclined her head gracefully. "Regret is natural, Mother. But my life now is my own. I have learned from my experiences, and I have grown stronger for them. That is enough." Vera felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. She could never change the past, but she could acknowledge it and learn from it. And she could finally see her daughter for who she truly was. A remarkable individual, capable of influencing civilizations and achieving what many thought impossible. In the following weeks, Leora and Ethan continued to excel. They implemented new projects, guided interstellar missions, and fostered collaboration between humans and alien species. Humans, once underestimated, were now regarded as vital partners in exploration, diplomacy, and defense. Vera observed from Zephyra Prime, quietly following her daughter's achievements. Pride and regret coexisted within her. She had once believed herself superior, judging humans and her own daughter unfairly. Now she could see the truth. Strength comes in many forms, and courage, intelligence, and resilience often matter more than status or appearances. During one major operation, a colony faced a threat from a rogue asteroid heading toward its energy core. Human and alien teams were called to intervene. Leora directed the mission, using combined knowledge of human technology and alien physics to devise a plan. Ethan piloted the lead ship, while Leora coordinated the extraction of the colony's resources and safety measures. Their teamwork was flawless. Alien leaders who had once scoffed at humans now watched in awe. When the mission succeeded, cheers erupted. Leora smiled quietly, acknowledging her team. She had proven that humans could excel under pressure, and that collaboration could achieve the impossible. That evening, Leora reflected on her journey. From the day her mother mocked her and arranged her marriage to now, she had grown in ways she never imagined. She realized that challenges, doubt, and underestimation had fueled her growth. Humans had shown her courage, ingenuity, and resilience, and together with her alien heritage, she had become a bridge between worlds. She also understood her mother's perspective. Lady Vera had acted out of pride, societal expectation, and fear of weakness. Yet the lessons Leora had learned, and the strength she had developed, were beyond what anyone had predicted. Vera herself had begun to change, learning humility, respect, and understanding. The mother-daughter bond, once strained by judgment and mockery, was now slowly mending. Leora offered grace where it had once been absent, showing that true strength included compassion and wisdom. As stars glittered across the station's skies, Leora and Ethan prepared for their next mission. The galaxy was full of challenges and opportunities, and they were ready to face them together. Humans, once underestimated, had earned respect, and Leora, once underestimated by her own mother, had become a symbol of courage, intelligence, and resilience. Lady Vera watched from afar, her regret softened by admiration. She realized that underestimating humans and her daughter had been a mistake, but the outcome had surpassed even her hopes. Leora's rise had not only proven human strength, it had also transformed her own understanding of power, respect, and love. The galaxy, vast and full of possibility, awaited. And Leora, together with Ethan, would continue to show that determination, intelligence, and courage could change worlds, unite civilizations, and inspire hope across the stars. The galaxy had changed since Leora and Ethan first left Zephyr Prime. Humans were no longer seen as fragile or unremarkable. Across star systems, they were respected for courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Humans had become trusted explorers, diplomats, and problem solvers. And at the center of this transformation were Leora and Ethan, a couple whose partnership had bridged cultures and shattered old prejudices. From the observation deck of the human station, Leora looked at the vast expanse of stars stretching into infinity. She remembered the girl who had left her home years ago, timid, uncertain, and mocked by her mother. Now she stood strong, respected, and independent. Humans had taught her resilience and creativity, while her alien heritage had given her knowledge and perspective. Together they had created something extraordinary. Ethan joined her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Another mission completed," he said. "And another group of humans earning respect across the galaxy." Leora smiled. "We've come far, but there's still so much more to do. So many worlds to help, so many bridges to build." Ethan nodded. "And we will do it together just as we always have." The Council had called them once again. A neighboring system faced a crisis, an unstable star threatening the planets of several civilizations. The Council requested humans' expertise to find a solution. Leora and Ethan prepared, knowing the mission would test everything they had learned. The journey to the system was tense. The star's energy fluctuations were unpredictable, and alien technologies alone could not stabilize it. Humans with their ingenuity and adaptability were needed. Leora reviewed calculations, integrating human algorithms with alien physics models. Ethan coordinated the crew and piloted the lead ship. Hours passed, each moment bringing new challenges. Meteors, energy surges, and gravitational anomalies threatened their progress. Yet Leora's calm direction and Ethan's decisive actions allowed the team to navigate each obstacle. Finally, the team succeeded. The star's instability was controlled and the planets were safe. Delegates from multiple civilizations praised Leora and Ethan for their leadership and ingenuity. Humans had earned recognition not through brute force but through intelligence, courage, and collaboration. Back on Zephyr Prime, Lady Vera received another report. Leora's name appeared once more, this time in a commendation from the Interstellar Council. Vera's hands trembled slightly as she read. Her daughter had not only survived but excelled. She had become a symbol of human capability, a reminder that strength was not always obvious, and that courage and intelligence could surpass expectation. Vera reflected on her own mistakes. She had mocked Leora, believing that arranging a marriage to a human would diminish her. Instead, Leora had grown stronger, wiser, and more respected. Every act of judgment and cruelty had been transformed into lessons of resilience, creativity, and determination. For the first time, Vera felt genuine admiration for her daughter. Pride replaced shame, though tempered with regret. She had underestimated humans and Leora, but now she understood the truth. Humans could achieve greatness in ways alien society had never imagined, and Leora had become a shining example of this. Leora and Ethan returned to the human station after their mission. Delegates, scholars, and engineers gathered to hear their reports. Leora spoke clearly, explaining their strategy, the obstacles, and the solutions that had worked. Her voice carried authority, confidence, and clarity. Humans and aliens listened intently, asking questions and learning from her experience. Ethan added details, highlighting the importance of creativity, teamwork, and adaptability. He emphasized collaboration between species, demonstrating that combining strengths could achieve extraordinary results. A young alien officer whispered to his companion, "I used to think humans were weak, but now I see they are remarkable. And Leora, she is a leader unlike any I have known." Leora smiled quietly, feeling the satisfaction of making a real difference. It was no longer about proving herself to her mother or to anyone else. It was about helping civilizations, solving problems, and inspiring others to realize their potential. One evening, Lady Vera requested an audience with Leora. The human station allowed her arrival under strict observation, given the political sensitivities. When she stepped aboard, she saw her daughter standing confidently, calm and radiant. "Mother," Leora said politely, "I did not expect you to come." Vera's voice was soft, filled with sincerity. "I wanted to see with my own eyes what I once could not believe. Leora, I have been wrong. You have surpassed my expectations, and I see now that humans, and you, are capable of greatness beyond what I imagined." Leora inclined her head. "Thank you for acknowledging it. But my life now is guided by choices I have made, not by past mistakes or judgments." Vera stepped closer, tears forming in her eyes. "I am proud of you, my daughter, and I am learning that strength is not only in power or appearance but in courage, intelligence, and heart." Leora's smile was gentle. "Then you understand, and that is enough." It was a quiet, simple moment, but it marked a turning point. The strained bond between mother and daughter began to heal, rooted in respect, understanding, and admiration rather than judgment or control. The following months were busy with missions, negotiations, and exploration. Leora and Ethan continued to excel, becoming symbols of human potential and collaboration. Humans were increasingly respected in councils, colonies, and diplomatic missions. Their ingenuity, persistence, and courage had reshaped perceptions across civilizations. Aliens began to seek human advice, consult human strategies, and integrate human methods into their own practices. Leora's leadership was central to this transformation. She showed that humans could excel not by imitation, but by applying their unique strengths, thinking creatively, and working collaboratively. Even Lady Vera observed these developments with growing admiration. She had expected weakness and disappointment, but instead she saw intelligence, resilience, and moral strength. She realized that underestimating humans and her daughter had been a mistake that could not be undone. Yet it had led to an outcome more extraordinary than she could have imagined. During a mission to a distant colony, Leora faced one of her greatest challenges yet. A rogue faction had destabilized the planet's energy core, threatening to destroy the colony. Aliens argued for overwhelming force. Humans advocated careful strategy. Leora proposed a combined approach: precise maneuvers, risk management, and collaborative execution. The mission was dangerous. Energy surges, unstable terrain, and hostile elements challenged every team member. Yet Leora's calm direction, Ethan's piloting, and the humans' adaptability allowed the operation to succeed. The colony was saved, and the rogue faction was neutralized with minimal harm. The success cemented humans' reputation. Delegates praised Leora and Ethan for their wisdom, courage, and leadership. Humans had earned a permanent place as respected contributors to interstellar peace and progress. Back at the human station, Leora reflected on her journey. From a timid girl humiliated by her mother to a leader recognized across civilizations, she had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. She had learned that true strength was not measured by appearance, status, or force, but by courage, intelligence, resilience, and moral character. Ethan stood beside her, his expression proud. We've done well, he said softly. Yes, Leora replied. And the journey continues. Humans will continue to prove themselves, and I will continue to grow, to lead, and to inspire others. Across the stars, humans had begun to leave a lasting legacy. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and courage were celebrated. And Leora, once mocked and underestimated, had become a symbol of what humans, and anyone underestimated, could achieve. Lady Vera watched quietly from Zephyra Prime, her regret softened by admiration. She understood that while she could not undo the past, she could acknowledge it, learn from it, and honor the remarkable journey of her daughter. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and possibilities. Leora and Ethan faced it together, humans shining brightly among the stars. Their story became a beacon, a reminder that courage, intelligence, and collaboration could overcome prejudice, doubt, and adversity. And in the hearts of all who knew them, the lesson was clear. Humans, underestimated and dismissed for too long, had proven that they could achieve greatness, leave a lasting legacy, and inspire civilizations across the galaxy.